The Shinsengumi Death Game arc is probably one of those arcs Sorachi had been dying to adapt for probably either a long time or he'd just been watching the Saw movies. If you haven't seen Saw yet, then I'd at least recommend checking out the first one before watching this arc, because it has a ton of references and a ton of parodies of Saw. But if not, whatever, no one's stopping ya. It's not Paramount, there's just some Easter eggs. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's jump into this surprisingly emotional 2-episode roller coaster. Play it. Inside of an abandoned building's locker room is Jigzaw's chamber, where Hijikata and Sogo have been trapped, chained together to a single pipe. Across the room to the far end, down a hallway, is a key to either of their collars. Here's the catch though, if one of those collars is unlocked with said key, the other person's collar explodes. On top of that dilemma, time is also of the essence, with the Shinsengumi HQ in risk of being obliterated in 72 hours. So the obvious question presents itself. Who's returning to HQ and whose head is exploding? Hijikata, realizing this is by far the best excuse for Sogo to finally off him, and even return to the rest of the Shinsengumi a hero, Hijikata begins fearing the worst, forcing his mind into an ever-tense question of when. When will it happen? When will Sogo betray him and escape with his life? But after hours and hours of wasted worrying, nothing ever happens. Sogo valiantly declared they would escape this trap together, and has stayed true to his word since. After a full day chock full of anxiety, the room's tension had finally begun to ease. Since if someone was going to make a move, that should have already been done. Sogo was presented with a multitude of opportunities to sabotage his vice chief, but paid no heed to Toshiro's current vulnerabilities. Perhaps Hijikata had misjudged his fellow captain. These thoughts didn't mean he was going to let his guard down though. The moment Sogo makes the slightest action of betrayal, Hijikata will cut him down without hesitation. A legitimate reason to kill him as a traitor will have revealed itself. With his mind slightly eased, he decided to assist Sogo in smashing the chain with some nearby rubble. But after some reassuring words from Jigzaw that the chain is made of a special alloy, they began hammering away at the pipe. Here we finally receive an inner monologue from Sogo's perspective this time. And wouldn't you know it, he's thinking the same thing his fellow officer is, and neither desire to do as the psycho desires. This stalemate of rejection and anticipation for the other to make a move results in some hilarious kaiji-style mind battles, escalating to them both going to sleep in large quotations. That is because neither received a wink of shut-eye for the duration of the following 8 hours, with them both readying a counterattack for an attempted murder that never happened. At this point, they each realize what the other is trying to make them do, and silently solidify and heighten their resolve to not betray the officer in front of them. And I'll stick with you to the very end, from Hijikata, and no matter what happens, you're my buddy, from Sogo. Before this moment, I was with Hijikata's belief that Sogo would absolutely betray him when given an opportunity like this. We know the two aren't on the best of terms. Day in and day out, Hijikata lives in fear of an accidental misfire from Sogo's rocket launcher. But to hear that phrase from the captain helps me respect his character and appreciate Okita Sogo more so than ever as a person deserving my appreciation as not only a character, but as a human with complex emotions as well. Sogo is a troll, let's not kid ourselves on that. He may just be the most dastardly troll in any manga, but hidden beneath that mask are Sogo's true colors. A man who loves and cherishes those close to him, but has one hell of a difficult time showing it. So much so that he'd set up an entire Saw-inspired death game just so he would have a stage to finally unleash those emotions properly. On that stage, he'd later reveal he'd been the villain this entire time so things could return to how they once were, because underneath his facade, he's scared of change. This arc brilliantly showcases Sogo's deep emotions in a fantastically complex way. So complex that I'm only truly realizing most of what I said now. I used to downright hate this arc because of Sogo, but in hindsight, I'm realizing this is Okita Sogo's arc. Witnessing Sogo finally having the chance to express words he was never able to utter before, as well as him apologizing to his friend for all his past actions. And lastly, with his buddy seemingly on death's door, Hijikata desperately attempting anything to save his friend when he, at last, broke free from the damaged pipe. All of this tore me apart. In classic Sorachi fashion, I was blindsided and overrun with emotion. On the way to the station with Sogo being carried on his vice chief's shoulders, the floor fell through, leaving Sogo still above ground and Hijikata hanging on for dear life a few feet below. This is when we get that classic Saw twist. The whole time Sogo had been just fine and hadn't actually sliced his neck open. The fake blood was a grape-flavored Schubert Jigzaw had given them earlier. I slightly call bullshit on that, but I'll chalk it up to Hijikata being so deprived of sustenance that he couldn't comprehend it. Anyway, let's address the elephant in the room. Sogo lets go of the chain at the top, leaving Hijikata with a "good work, it was fun, come play with me again," before dropping Hijikata to his death. Well, not really, obviously. I joked about it in my reaction that the only way this could make sense is if Sogo had pre-planned for this by putting a bunch of cushions at the bottom or something. But let's be real, that's not Sogo's character. As longtime commenter David said in the comments of that reaction, when presented with the opportunity, he would absolutely throw Hijikata into a dark pit and expect Hijikata to be hurt, but survive. That is just Sogo, to be honest. And after reading that, I really couldn't complain. That's a damn good point right there. Moral of the story, Sogo is a sadistic asshole but still loves his friends. Also, 9.5. See ya.